Thank you everybody for coming to the second week of 1 Million Cups. I'm Steve Cook, one of the organizers. The other organizers are TJ, John, Tammy, and did I forget Eric? Eric's not even here. All right. As you know, 1 Million Cups is by entrepreneurs for entrepreneurs, sponsored by the Kauffman Foundation, and we've got a few supporters as well. Supporters like Nick Lehman doing the video of Lehman Media, Hartford Square and Michael Thomas, thank you for the coffee, and Fat Pipe for the location. This week we have Food Sentry and Runway Apparel, and they'll be presenting. They've got about 6 minutes, and then they've got time afterward for you to ask questions. What 1 Million Cups is really bringing the entrepreneurial community together. It's not a Shark Tank where you kind of just ask them questions repeatedly. What it is try to be supportive, encouraging, and help them, give them an exchange of ideas, let them know your thoughts, maybe even connect with them. And it's like I said, it's all organized by volunteers. So to introduce our first company, TJ Cook will introduce. Oh, and next week, come and bring a friend.
We'll be saying that quite a bit. Come and bring a friend. Well, we have for you quite a nice little presentation here by Dara Ambrose and Project Runway. And just so you know, they're doing some pretty amazing things. I've had the pleasure of speaking with her over the past week. She's getting ready to present to you all. And it's a really compelling vision she has for not only her business, but for Albuquerque, which I think is super important to this community. So with no further ado, Dara, come on up. And I think you wanted to do something?
Yeah, TJ, I think we need to change your look today.
My look?
So if you'll go try that on.
I had no idea this was coming.
Good morning, everybody. As TJ said, I am Dara Ambrose. I am representing Runway Apparel. Runway Apparel was established by my fabulous business partner, Lori Medic, who's sitting up here. I love how only one person sits in the front row. Like, why are you scared? I'm not that scary, I promise. So you're probably thinking, Runway Apparel, almost 5 years old. Why are you talking about startup? Well, I'm kind of a startup. I came on board with Runway Apparel last September after a bucket list trip to New York Fashion Week, a chance encounter with a clairvoyant on the street, and an agreement over vodka tonics at a local bar. So here I am talking about Runway Apparel and what we do. So my vision for Albuquerque, and I have been dreaming this dream ever since I was a little girl, and I used to design clothes with my grandmother. And I really wanted to get into design work, but living in Albuquerque, there wasn't a really big space for that. So I followed my other passion and got involved with corporate philanthropy and employee engagement in the HR space. Now, as a driver in this space, my vision is to see Albuquerque as a hub for innovation and creativity, attracting and helping local designers, creating spaces throughout Albuquerque like Fat Pipe, where people can live their dream, and hopefully one day I can live mine as a designer too. So what are we currently doing? Runway Apparel is found in the heart of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We go to market in LA, New York, Vegas, and we bring the world's fashion to Albuquerque in real time. It's not the 2-year lag that we're known for, it's real time. So we have lines out of Barcelona, Spain, we have lines out of Australia, we have a men's line out of Colombia, the UK, France, and Denmark. We also support local designers. One of our local designers is sitting here as well, Jessica Eves Matthews. She's created an amazing couture golf line for women. So men have all the options of going from the boardroom to the golf links, but women didn't. They had to wear the boring polos and shorts. So we have this fabulous line that we're doing a pop-up shop in the boutique for. We also support local jewelry artists, handbag designers, skincare lines. We want to help those young entrepreneurs get their startup going in our space. And that's what creates that exclusivity. So one of the lines that I saw at New York Fashion Week was Marissa Webb. I absolutely fell in love with every single piece that she showed. So of course I went online to see her price points, and her shirt was $400. And I thought there's no way I could bring that back to Albuquerque right now. So what I do instead is I'm inspired by looks. I'm looking on the runway, I'm looking at magazines, I'm looking at what stars are wearing, and then it's really fun because I go back to the shop and play dress up. And bring people in, dress them up in styles like Louis Vuitton, like Tory Burch, like Desigual, and then offer that to people in our community. It's a really great way for us, again, to be fashion forward instead of fashion lag. So we are so fortunate because we have amazing relationships with our friends and customers. It's not like when you walk into Loft or J. Crew and they don't know your name. We know our customers, we really appreciate them, and we show them love. I really love Matt's quote, Runway Apparel, it's about the experience, and I really hope it's about the experience. I hope you feel like you're Norm from Cheers when you come to visit us, that we know your name, we know your style, and we're shopping for you. We do personal shopping for our customers. We do style consultations. We do VIP programs, special events. Anytime we can partner with the local community, we try and do that, bring them in, and show how we can support them back. So here's just a couple of the organizations that we've supported in the past year and a half. Either through time, we serve on boards, we volunteer for organizations, either through sponsorships or hosting what we call soirees on the runway at our shop, through silent auction, live auction items. We actually had a live auction item in the mayor's ball that went for over $2,000, which was awesome. I like reporting that back. And again, I would like to challenge any bigger store in our community to see what they're doing in this space. So what's on the horizon? Well, I also came on board at Runway Apparel the same week that San Diego was under sequester. Intel was, they were laying off employees. Cardinal Health was shutting down operations here in Albuquerque. Best time in the world to become a small business owner. So what I have been working on is like, okay, how can we build our online presence? We are gonna build an online store. We, on the next evolution, will have a personal shopper page. We have working on apps to get people into the store. We have so many people that come from the East Mountains, from Rio Rancho, from Nob Hill and Uptown, which I love. And I want to make sure that they're coming for a reason. So either they're placing their order online and then they come by when it's convenient for them, or we ship it to them. Because again, we only buy it in 3 to 6 piece quantities. And so when I post it on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, and people are loving it, and they're like, hold that for me, I want to make sure that they have the opportunity to get what they want. We're also working in a number of creative spaces. This Friday, we're working with the Aveda Institute for their open house, and we're doing a fashion show for them. I'm heading up the March of Dimes, High Heels for High Hopes fashion show. So women who are philanthropic and fundraising in the community will raise money, and then we're gonna have a New York City style fashion show during the event. Working with Dinner en Blanc, which is a super secretive foodie fashion thing that's coming on the horizon that I'm not getting much sleep around because I'm trying to figure out how to dress 800 people in our community uniquely. And then we also have, ways in which we help people really build their self-confidence and give back. We did a mommy makeover for Ronald McDonald House for the moms that, are staying in the house and don't have time to take care of themselves. This morning on More Than Turquoise blog, Jamie posted about the C&M Foundation dinner in which 5 students are invited to go and speak at the foundation dinner event coming up this month. And she asked me to dress them. And it was amazing because they came in, and people have this kind of conception about boutiques, so like food, nothing's gonna fit me, I don't know that I can afford anything like that. They left smiling. And to me, that was the biggest return on our involvement to that. Plus, I'm having a really hard time to get guys to come shop, so guys in the audience, come by. I'm more than happy to help you shop. But some really great friends have pushed for one of the local young professionals club, the Active 20 to 30 Club. They're gonna host an event at the end of the month. So I think, what our issue is how do we make Runway Apparel come to your mind first when you're thinking about shopping, when you're thinking about fashion, when you're thinking about creativity in the city? everything. So, I think I see the teacher coming around the corner.
He was running.
Yeah. What do you think about TJ?
I just feel better about myself. So I'm 799 more to go, right? You said 800 people in the US. All right, well, we got about 20 minutes, so we got plenty of time for questions and answers. It's time for you to be more curious about Runway and also any business-related questions. How's she gotten this far? What's the next big hurdles? Things like that. So open it up to questions, and I'll field them and then hand the mic back to Dara. John.
Dara, manufacturing, of course, is always a big challenge. How are you going about that?
That's a very good question.
So I'll just repeat the question. Manufacturing is a big challenge. How are you going about manufacturing?
Locally, well, I haven't started designing yet, but I'm always open to ideas. So if you have connections, I would love to meet them. Yeah, to see how we can really build more manufacturing, especially in the textile side.
With your online store, sizing becomes an issue. Companies like Zappos and so on allow infinite number of returns and so on. Have you thought, or what are your thoughts on that?
So sizing the online store and how to compete with the big boys and all the infinite returns in those policies.
So that's a very good question. It was actually an article today in the Business of Fashion, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet because they were talking about all the returns around that. And typically for us, our return policy is 10 days because we close out our books every 2 weeks. So what I typically do when somebody comes in and has not visited the shop for the first time is we spend a lot of time with them on the lines and talk about, because sizing from France and sizing from the US is way different. And so looking at them, personally, I really love to sit down and do style consultations and look at what they're interested in wearing. I still need to get to that hurdle on how to do that online and do that successfully. I think it's gonna be, a little bit of tweaking to get that to where we want it to be.
Yes, sir.
Is there a market in your mind that would accommodate incorporating the online shopping experience to like a kind of a My Closet sort of application to where you can not only purchase clothes, but you could also lease clothing for short periods of time?
So the question being My Closet style application where you can purchase but also maybe lease and incorporate some of the more online friendly ways.
So I've had a lot of people suggest Trunk Club, which if you're not familiar with it, we talked about that yesterday, yeah. If you're not familiar with it, you go through this style form, and then the consultant sends you this box of clothing. And the biggest takeaway from that for me was when I asked people about that, I would ask them, how many pieces did you keep out of that 14-piece selection that was sent to you? And it was typically 1 or 2. There's no way as a small business I would ever stick my feet in that realm because I don't have the inventory space or the budget to select those. As far as leasing clothes, I don't know that I want to get into that space. I'm talking to people about an app where they go into your closet and look at what you have, and then Runway Apparel would pop up and say, hey, you've got these really great pair of jeans. Here's this cool moto jacket that would work with it. That's kind of the apps that I'm looking for, more than leasing or doing box clubs.
So, hi. First, let me just say that you are such a powerhouse and such an amazing human being, and I mean, you're a dear friend, but I am so amazed at all you do for this community and the way you support everyone. I mean, everyone in this room has benefited from your friendship and your support at one time or another, and you're pretty tireless about that. So what you do is incredibly unique, and so I'm just excited for you and what you're doing. But I'm in the space, as you know, we've got apparel businesses, And I'll say the future for Runway in my mind is like Nasty Gal. So I don't know how many of you guys are familiar with Nasty Gal, but we've talked about this. Nasty Gal is at the point where they've surpassed the 100 million a year revenue mark, and they're growing, and they've done nothing but retail. So the returns issue is not an issue. You don't have to come up with a truly innovative revenue model. You have to provide what you're providing, which is amazing pieces, great styling advice, and a cool point of view. And you have all of that. And so I think you're going to become a national brand. I'm very excited for what's coming. I think you are totally doing everything right. So I just had to make a comment because I think a lot of people in this room probably aren't familiar with the industry, but you're right on. You're right. I mean, Sophia Amoroso better watch out because you're on her trail. Yeah.
So the question was, Dara is awesome, and she's going to take over the world.
Pretty much.
What was your name?
Jessica.
Jessica.
Yeah.
So that does bring a question to my mind,
Yeah.
which is, 1 million cups, Albuquerque, you want to highlight startups.
Yeah.
When you think startup, you think high growth. You think, and I was talking to Dara about this yesterday, clothing, retail, boutique. I had some questions and that application came in, but
Yeah.
the more we talked yesterday, a couple of things stuck out. Is that community engagement? How engaged is Amazon in helping our local community?
Not at all. They're not even engaged in Seattle. And I lived there
Right.
for a long time.
And also the broader vision of design thinking in Albuquerque, leading some design. So I actually wanted to follow up real quick with my own question, and then we'll get back to y'all's. The community involvement, and we talked about this yesterday, but you mentioned the tirelessness, the fastidiousness of having to put those things on. Has that been taxing? Because I know startups and being a company owner myself, it's just enough to keep the team running, keep the projects going, make sure the cash register is coming in and out. To hold these special events is that super taxing? Has a return on investment been there? I mean, from a pure business perspective, what would you say about that?
Not yet. I've been able to, again, with help from Lori. Lori and I actually met because she created this space where the community could come in, and she hosted an event for me when I was doing a fundraiser. So it's been so great to be able to build off of that. It hasn't become taxing. I won't commit to anything unless I can do it. I'm not the type of person that puts my name to things just to put my name to things. I want to make sure that if you're engaging me, I'm able to support you full capacity. The events, to me, being in the shop, 10 to 6, and some days it's really slow, and then we have really fun with fashion. And then we have an event that night. People are coming to those events because they want to support the organization, because they're coming with friends, because it's going to be a good time. So the events in the shop, I love. If I don't go home till 10 o'clock at night every night, if we had an event every night, I would be fine with that. And if I can't, I've gotten a lot of requests for cash sponsorships lately, and I don't have the budget for that, but I challenge them, what else could I do? Do you have models at the event? Can I dress them for that? Can we donate a soiree on the runway? Can we do something else? Is there some way that I could help market the event? Social media, getting that information out there sometimes is really helpful for organizations. So, no, right now, but who knows after this how many requests I'll have for events. So, but I think to me, it's always, both Lori and I were born and raised in this community. We're part of the community, and it's challenge everybody. You need to give back in some way that it's passionate for you to give back, because we live here. We want to see a city elevated in meaningful ways instead of being on the bottom of the list for education and children's issues and crime and everything. Why can't we build it up in positive ways?
So it's not about the ROI.
But it happens. It's natural. It happens. Yeah.
Great. Yes, sir.
One frequent way that I purchase clothing is to go to a retail establishment and try things on. And when I've found something I'm happy with, then I go to the retailer's website and I want to order usually quite a lot more than just the one that may have been available in the store. And the biggest frustration I have when I do this is that I will order and I'll get a different product because the retail and the online establishments are really not integrated, and so there aren't matching part numbers, whatever it is. So and things like that. And can you just maybe speak to either the integration or lack thereof between retail and web outlets?
So integration between the retail experience and then when you purchase online and the mishmash experience that comes with that. That seems to be frustrating a little bit.
Yeah, well, I don't know that I'm an expert to speak from the retail experience since this is all new for me, but I can talk to you from our point of sale system will be fully integrated with what we have in stock. Again, because we'll have such small quantities in what we're offering, we're gonna have to be on top of it because I don't want somebody to go and order something online and then somebody come into the store and buy it at the same time and then I have to go back to the customer and say, sorry, we sold out of that. So what you see in the store, we will definitely, it will be the same product that's online. But if there's something that you love and I can order more quantities after we run out whatever quantity we have in store, then that option would be available. But it would be more of a one-on-one conversation versus you just going online to order it.
I think I saw the phrase exclusive, not expensive. What is your price point and why was integrating a competitive pricing system important in your business model?
The question is, show me the money.
We're right next door to Loft. And more frequent than not, we have customers coming in saying, are you new? Because I was just walking door to Loft and I saw you, well, no, been here for almost 5 years. Again, coming in as a startup, we try and keep our price points at $100 or less. There are going to be some pieces, especially in what I'm showing you here, that are over $100. But again, those are usually the we order smaller pieces of because we know that people are going to come in and everybody's working with a budget. We really, again, you know, I wish I could sell Marissa Webb and I could sell an outfit for $1,000. It's not going to happen. So what can I offer? The outfit that was included in there was BCBG. It was that monochrome look, and the whole outfit, including handbag, was under $200. So it's, again, it's like, okay, how can we show that high fashion in an affordable way for people to really feel good about? So.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the apparel management, so I'm going to make some assumptions. Feel free to shoot them down.
We know.
Set myself up for that. It seems to me there are two components to your issue, because there's got to be a certain level of fashion awareness before Runway Apparel even has a chance to come to mind. So in your opinion, is there enough fashion awareness in Albuquerque now, if you can raise coming to mind first to support your business, or is this a two-pronged approach where you need to work on both? And if so, how can this community help you, particularly with the issue of raising the level of fashion awareness?
So a good question, I'll repeat. Do we have enough fashion awareness on which to build for Project Runway Apparel to come to the mind first? Or is it a two-pronged approach where we first need to create that awareness? What is your take on that?
Working on that awareness. Again, looking at partners who will help us get the word out on fashion. So looking people in the fashion industry, in the beauty industry, working with local bloggers. You know, people are following bloggers on what to wear, getting that information out. Come into the shop. And then I think our best source, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, TV, radio, anywhere I can get on for free, I'm on there talking about Runway Apparel for free. Again, small business. But our best referrals come from our customers. That, I mean, everything that you saw quoted up there from our customers was on Facebook, and they shared it with their friends, and their friends shared it. So I would suggest the best way to create that fashion awareness is to come visit us. Let's talk about what your style is. We're known more for the casual chic look. We have a couple of blazers, we have a couple of really nice chinos, but it's more jeans, more comfortable. I love dresses, so there's tons of dresses in the shop, but it's jeans, sweaters, you know, really comfortable articles of clothing, but that you can wear to meetings.
Any other ideas around that?
I had kind of a follow-up.
Go ahead. And then
I
you.
was sort of curious to know, I mean, in part because of his question, I think, so, you know, there are these groups that are obviously harder to get to, right? So you mentioned men, and particularly men under 30. Like, good luck getting that group to come in and like have a real serious assessment. So there's, you know, I think the two subgroups that are obvious there are millennials and men, particularly men under a certain age. What sort of like customer development do you do? What sort of research do you guys have around that? Is that something where we're getting a lot of constant feedback, or is that enough of a question?
How are you researching those segments you want to reach out to? What have you learned so far? How are you learning about those under 30 men and things like that?
worldwide. I subscribe to Business of Fashion, Women's Wear Daily, fashion bloggers, looking at, there's an upcoming trend that men are starting to shop more. And so I'm like, crossing my fingers that really trickles down a lot quicker here in Albuquerque. But the best way for me to do that is to get out there and not be afraid to approach, hey, come shop in, going out to like AED luncheons, going out to like, helping and partnering with organizations to get that demographic in.
So if you're part of an organization that serves men younger than 30, talk to Dara, right? We have time for one more question.
I just think one of the things that I find most intriguing about your presentation is this kind of personal stylist component of it. I think that's really unique in the retail because you go into like the loft, always, the staff there's been there for a month, they're going to move on to something else. But when you do like online to say, oh, maybe I do want to have a personal stylist kind of evaluate my look or whatever, it's $150 an hour. If you're doing that in your shop, that's a huge thing for a lot of women out there who don't necessarily have the time or the funds to come and say, I don't like the way I look, but now I can do something different potentially. So I think if you market that as part of a major component of your product or what it is, I think you have a really strong thing there.
Personalization is a big, really strong element in all this among the big stores and things like that. Awesome comment. At Runway ABQ, at, how do you say that? Hot? Hot. NM Girl. Hot. Get in touch with Dara. Keep the conversation going. It's a kickstart to great conversation. Last question we always ask each of our presenters is what can this community, what can all these people here do to get you to that next step? What do you need the most from your community?
Everything.
Be specific.
Be specific. Let's see. I need you to come in and shop. I need you to refer your friends to come shop, refer your family. Always looking for ideas. I have the best friends. They're always throwing out ideas to me, and I do a lot of research, and I get back to them and say, yeah, that'll work. No, I'm not doing that. But keep them coming. I think, investment in what we're doing and keeping the conversation going.
A couple of years ago, she saw another opportunity and something that became Food Sentry. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Lisa Atkins.
Thanks everyone for coming this morning. I love that 1 million cuts is being held at Fat Pipe ABQ. So thank you for being here. So before, you can't hear me?
Yeah, I think it's off.
It's on. Hello? 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 I just turned off the...
There it is. Something happened.
Now, can you hear me? So before I tell you about Food Sentry, let's talk a little bit about food. Who here likes tilapia? That white, flaky fish that takes on the flavor of anything that you cook it in. We make awesome fish tacos with it. Well, did you know that 85% of our tilapia comes from China and other Asian countries? Not only that, but China is one of the biggest farmers of tilapia in the entire world, and they don't have great regulations. This is what one of the tilapia ponds might look like in China. And they feed the fish feces from other animals that may be on their land. The ponds are filthy. The water's not really filtrated all that much. And then when they're processed, they're brought into a plant, and their people have to wear masks because they stink. They pick the parasites out of the fish, and then they rinse it in a detergent like STTP to get all the rest of the parasites out because they don't want to make you sick, right? And then they fast freeze it, put it in a bag, and send it to a Costco near you. I guarantee if you have a frozen bag of tilapia in your freezer, if you check the label, it's from China. Tilapia is not our only problem, though. It's just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, we have more imported food than ever. We have 3 million shipments of imported food, and according to the FDA, that grows every single year. That's 68 million tons worth more than $1 trillion. 91% of our seafood is imported from other countries, and over 2/3 of our fruits and vegetables are imported. And unfortunately, the FDA only inspects 2% of the food coming into the USA. All of this directly contributes to the epidemic of food poisoning in this country. 1 out of 6 people will get sick from a foodborne illness in the US. That's 48 million people. 140,000 of them will be hospitalized, more than 3,000 will die, and our children, elderly, and chronically ill are especially at risk. So that's why we created Food Sentry. Show you our website. So Food Sentry was started by 5 co-founders who are deeply invested, and I mean deeply invested, in its success, but we're also passionate about educating consumers on the risk of foodborne illness from the foods that come into our country. Our mission is to create a direct and timely means for American consumers to protect themselves and their families from serious foodborne illnesses from imported foods such as meat and fish, vegetables and fruit, dairy, grains, nuts, and spices. So nothing processed. These are all whole foods. Our website was developed around giving consumers a one-stop shop for everything they needed to know about foods being imported into the US. So let me show you around a little bit. Under food safety alerts, we pull in the FDA's import alerts, food recalls, and warning letters. These are easy to find on the internet, but we bring them all into one single place, and we populate and update our database every single day. The Sentry Speaks is a great resource for different types of articles on foodborne illness. If you guys are interested, you should go in and read this article on the food safety analysis that we did for 2013. It's really interesting. Ask the Sentry is your portal to be able to ask our analysts a question about food or food safety. And then finally, the food risk ratings. This is our food risk rating guide, and it was our attempt to help you make smarter choices when you're shopping for food. So the food risk rating guide works like this. You come in, and in step 1, you enter the type of food that you're shopping for. So let's say you're at the seafood counter in your local grocer, and there's 3 types of shrimp. And you know that it's shrimp and you know that it's wild caught, but you have 3 options in the store and you want to know which one's safest to buy. So without even going to step 2 and identifying the country, we'll automatically show you the 10 top countries that import that particular food during that season into the US. And then you can scroll down and you can see which might be your safest options. I personally have shopped for fish in some of the better markets here in town. Usually there's 2 to 3 options, and Vietnam is actually a very big producer, and they bring shrimp into the US. So if you look at Vietnam shrimp and US shrimp, which one would you buy? Unfortunately, the US shrimp is twice as much, but if it's going to keep your family from getting sick, maybe it's worth it. So we went live with this site in 2012. We also started work on a mobile app. We started our marketing plan. We Facebook, we tweeted, we LinkedIn. Our analysts work daily, and they still work daily to populate our database. So, and then, you know what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. We sold less than 200 subscriptions to our food risk rating guide in 2 years, less than 200. Maybe it was a price point, we don't know, but now it's free. So if you want to get in and take a look at the food risk rating guide, we're giving it away for free. So, you know, by this time we drained all of our resources and things didn't look good for us at all. But guess what? Then the phone rang. And it wasn't an investor who wanted to pay us millions to finish our app. It wasn't an angel who wanted to give us some seed money to fix our marketing plan. It was actually the largest pet food manufacturer in the entire world. And they need help sourcing ingredients for their pet food. They don't want to make a mistake of putting tainted chicken in their jerky treats. And they need a proactive approach to making sure that they source their ingredients correctly. So we just got a contract with this company. It's a short-term contract. It's not worth a whole lot of money, but it does bring some money into the business, and it gives us an opportunity to pay our analysts who have actually been working for equity in the last 2 years. So when we started this, we had one thing in mind, but that wasn't the destiny in our plan. I think the word pivot is what you call this. We definitely had to make a pivot. And the pet food market is not the only commercial market that we're seeking. We're also working potentially with a large insurance company. So that's Food Sentry.
Thank you very much. And now we'd like to open up for questions. Steve.
We would love that to happen. We'd actually love to have a sticker that said Food Sentry certified in your local markets and in restaurants. So finding that way in to those, and the insurance company that we're consulting with could potentially get us there, because it's the insurance company who insures all of these restaurants and grocery stores, and so that could be our foot in the door.
Whether something's tested on animals, there's a whole demographic, particularly of moms, out there that if you could have a Food Sentry certified seal for their food products, what they sell in the grocery store, there's a huge industry there, I think, and I think it's brilliant. I love the idea of the seal of approval.
So because we don't deal too much, well, at all in processed food, we would have to get to the manufacturer of that baby food. We think it's a great idea. We were also target marketing some on our website through the pay-per-click ads, mothers who make their own baby food, because they're buying the natural ingredients from the grocery store, and we want to help them pick the right ones. So it's a great idea, and again, hopefully this insurance company can help us make it into that market. And the pet food company that we're working with, of course, they do more than just pet food. So
let's see, Joe, and then.
What were your growth metrics like in 2012? How you knew that you were going to be getting where you wanted to go, and how have they changed, and how have they changed if they have?
Well, of course, we had great expectations, and I don't have the statistics with me or the spreadsheets with our actual growth metrics at the time, but we thought by now hundreds of thousands of people would be logged into Food Sentry and potentially using our app to go into the grocery store. Unfortunately, what we found with the app is the database is so big, it's really hard to get it to perform on a mobile device. So, we need help with that, but we ran out of money, so it's hard to pay a developer to fix that problem when you don't have any money. The other thing is I think the way that it was developed is it might take a little bit too long to use. So, I don't want to stand in front of the seafood market and have 6 clicks to get my answer. I want it to be immediately. We've talked about barcode scanning to increase. The unfortunate thing is barcode scans don't include the country of origin, and that's what all of this is based on, is country of origin. That's really important. That's mandatory, actually.
I'll ask sort of a question from the side. I know you went through the Deal Screen Summit, and that's coming up in October. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience in sort of the coaching and that process?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. So yeah, We were accepted in the Dillstream Summit, and we had a great team of professionals put around us to help us prepare the business plan and for the presentation. Unfortunately, most of the people who were advising us didn't really believe in our products, so that was difficult. We had one attorney on our team who flat out told us, I shop at Whole Foods. I don't need your product. I know that everything I eat is safe. So the very next week when we met with them again, we brought her an article about tainted strawberries that were sold at Whole Foods. So it doesn't matter where you shop, you're at risk. We did end up with a private investor after Dillstream Summit who came to us on the side and invested $25,000 in our company. So, it was a little boost, and for that we were thankful. It did also help us come together as a team and put in writing, what we thought we had and where we wanted to go with it. We're not sure if we're going to do it for free forever, but we're thinking if we can really make some ground in the commercial market, that it could be free to consumers, and perhaps maybe more people would come on, and then our revenue model would be the commercial market. We have not. I'd love to follow up with you so I can get more information on that, because I'm sure I'll forget right after I'm done talking.
Plenty of great questions. You next?
Kind of spinning off of that, another thing about people buying locally at your markets is that they know that the kale that they buy here has better nutritional content than the kale they buy frozen at Costco. So does your app also include information about toxins in the food source, like fish that contain mercury, which is higher in some countries and less in some others?
We'll definitely do articles based on that, and if you submit a question to the Sentry, they will respond to that and put the answer on the website. So we don't necessarily give you the toxin levels in certain ingredient or in certain foods on the food risk rating guide, but we have that information and we're happy to share it with anybody who wants to know. Yeah, that's a great idea. Our analysts know a lot about, farm-raised versus wild-caught and all the things in between. We're also very educated on GMO crops, and so that's an interesting topic that, usually people are one way or the other. Our analysts or scientists, they'll give you the facts. They're not going to take a side, so. Good question. Who's our competition? There's actually a website called Food Safety News, and while they don't have an analytic team behind them and a database, they do a lot of news on the same types of things that we're finding and reporting on. And just in the past year or so, they have actually started putting our articles on their website. So that's one of our biggest competitors. A good analogy of who we want to be is the Consumer Reports of food safety. So there's also a lot of bloggers who talk about food and food safety, but I don't think there's anybody else with the database and the analytics and the algorithms behind it that can give you the answer quickly.
Can I make a comment about that? Because I'm thinking from a revenue model perspective, the difference between consumer reports and what you're doing is people consult consumer reports because they're big ticket purchases, right? So they're going to spend the time to pay. They're going to pay for the membership, and then they're going to spend the time to do the research. Most of the people buying food are moms or women. Sorry, guys, but I mean that's your buying demographic. Women make 85% of all consumer goods purchases, and they're in the store. You know, they're hurrying. They've got
Kids,
right? So I think your idea of a seal where they don't have to think is the way to go, which means the commercial market is where you have to monetize this idea. You're not going to monetize it on the consumer level.
Yeah.
It won't happen because people won't take the time and they won't see the value in it like that. Use that attorney's feedback. She's your demographic.
Right.
So don't dismiss it. Say why and find a way to get the information she would want on the label, and that is working with the manufacturers.
Right.
That's where you have to go, and not through insurance companies, because it is a marketing asset for a manufacturer to have a seal of approval like that. You have value. If they can say we're Food Sentry certified, that's a marketing piece for them. And so then you can actually have a list of companies on your website that are Food Sentry certified. That's your revenue stream.
Okay.
It's not going to be the consumer, and I don't think wouldn't use insurance companies as your gatekeeper. I don't think you need them, personally.
We're going to jump to Garen.
Well, I'm just going to pile on Jessica's comment. I think that being part of Intel with the Intel Inside campaign, that's what all that was about, is how to differentiate quickly for the consumer. Which, by the way, was Intel in it at first, but we eventually went to Intel Inside, and I think that little sticker on a computer made a big difference for Intel.
John?
So, kind of along the lines of Jessica's comment of moms, it sounds like it might be a good fit with Jessica Alda's Honest Company somehow. And back to the manufactured food, processed food, it seems like somehow you got to get into that market as well. That, if all the pieces and parts are Food Sentry rated, then
Right, so that's what the pet food is, right? It's manufactured product, and so thankfully we got there. And like I said, they do more than just pet food. So if we can prove ourselves, I think we'll have a huge partner there.
How much does your data correlate to geography and location?
It's all geography and location. And our analysts speak the native languages of the countries that they do their research in, so we're not, they can get it from the source. And I can't give you the secret sauce, and I don't even understand it enough to explain what they do and how they do it. But with the resources they have and the deep web analytics, it's all based on country of origin. That's really where it starts.
Well, let me clarify. The data that you're collecting, does it have any relevance to my location?
Sure. You want to know if that tainted shrimp in Thailand is in your local grocery store. And we have talked about putting localities on it. So we want to know where exactly. There was a restaurant called Chi-Chi's in Pennsylvania a few years ago that got some onions from Mexico, and they were tainted with hepatitis A. And they brought the onions into the restaurant, and they made salsas out of them. And I think 3 people died and 600 people got ill because the hepatitis A is very contagious, and some high school students got it, and it wiped out the community. The restaurant was already in a bankruptcy state, but this obviously put them under. If we would have been able to work with a restaurant like that and let them know that these onions are unsafe and they're coming to you or they're one of your suppliers, you should not buy these, that would be great. That would make it very local and specific to the purchaser.
I could see using an app to say, I'm at this location, which is store such and such, and then that would query your database, and then it would bring back a notification automatically for your users.
Yeah, we've talked about that. It's a great idea.
I have sort of an alternate perspective to the last three comments, which is, the food seal idea is pretty interesting. The application of that is incredibly difficult. Like, you probably know a lot more than I do about what it would take to get that done,
Yeah.
right? And I
Yeah.
think there's all sorts of regulatory questions. One of the things that I'm really curious about, scale it along that line, because there's all sorts of applications there, right? One is the consumer, but another is to package that data and sell it off to mid-level, kind of companies that are really interested in that. So I don't know if that makes sense.
So what's the exact question?
Well, the question is like, how did you devise that
Oh.
subscription model, and/or how would you change that now?
So I think initially when we went in, we really thought that the consumer market was the way we needed to go, because the FDA isn't doing it, and somebody needs to educate the consumer. That was our thought process. We had to monetize it somehow, so we picked a price point. And now we're finding out that consumers, either we're not reaching the consumers, or they can't afford it, or maybe they don't care about the information. So we are going to start making it free. It's actually free right now, but we're going to make it even more simple in that you don't even have to register. You can just get to it. So I don't know what to say. I mean, that's just kind of our logic when we first started. We've since pivoted and realized that it's not going to make us any money. And the more consumers we educate, then maybe those will be the people who go to their Whole Foods and say, listen, I heard these strawberries from Mexico aren't safe to eat. Why do you have them there? I've got this thing, Food Sentry, the Food Sentry Risk Guide. Why aren't you using it to source the ingredient or the food that you put in your stores?